Pay me $100,000 in damages.
Madison suddenly demanded. Without any warning, she threw a photo at me. The picture showed Joshua, my son, lying in bed with another woman.
To think he cheated while I was pregnant is despicable. What kind of upbringing did you provide? Apologize first. Come on, beg for forgiveness.
I was taken aback by the transformation of Madison, who had once cherished me as a mother. Silently, I verified the evidence, my hands trembling, my vision blurred. But indeed, the undeniable truth stared back at me.
As a parent, you are responsible for your child's actions. If you refuse,
Madison threatened in a low voice, peering into my face. Was Joshua, the unfaithful son, truly the worst of them? No, I realized. The despised mistress might just be my savior. With this revelation, I decided to call the police. I, a widow in my 60s, had found solace in my hobbies after my husband passed away 2 years ago. I had made new friends through my classes and enjoyed my days filled with karaoke and trips. Then, the most delightful news arrived.
Mom, I'm getting married, and she's already pregnant.
Joshua announced. His bride-to-be was Madison, a young woman who looked like a contemporary idol, much younger than 33-year-old Joshua.
It's a pleasure to meet you,
Madison said with a smile.
Your home and garden are filled with beautiful flowers, your tea and cakes are delicious. You have such great taste, it's exactly like a mother's vibe.
Her compliments flowed, but I jestingly replied that flattery would get her nowhere. Madison was both beautiful on the outside and wonderful on the inside. A truly fortunate match for my son.
Wow, you are into flower arranging, yoga, and even cooking classes? That is so elegant.
Madison admired. She expressed a desire to learn cooking from me, especially Joshua's favorite dishes. What a perfect daughter-in-law she would be. I felt an overwhelming sense of happiness, almost too good to be true. Madison, currently pregnant, seems not to be in the best of health lately, indicating that she won't be up for cooking lessons. She's having a tough time with daily chores, so I volunteered to assist with enthusiasm.
Nancy, your presence here is a godsend. Thank you so much for coming.
Madison expressed, her gratitude palpable in the air. Oh, it's absolutely no bother at all, Madison. Please, take this time to rest. I reassured her, hoping to alleviate any sense of obligation she might feel.
Nancy, your generosity knows no bounds. I am sincerely thankful for you,
she conveyed, her words brimming with sincerity and warmth, making my heart swell with affection. Since that initial day of assistance, I have made it my mission to help out at my son Joshua's place, dedicating 3 days a week to the cause. The tasks at hand, ranging from tidying up the living space to doing the laundry and preparing meals, have become a significant part of my routine, consuming a considerable portion of my day. Although I had always prided myself on my vitality and resilience, the physical demands of these chores, coupled with the passage of time, have started to reveal the limitations of my endurance. Despite my previous confidence in my robust health and stamina, I have come to realize the inevitable tell of aging. After a day's work of chores, where I could once easily proceed to my hobby classes, I now find myself utterly drained, unable to muster the energy to do more. Collapsing on the couch upon returning home, I empathize deeply with Madison as she endures her morning sickness. It's quite the paradox, I mused to myself, the way I could effortlessly wander and explore on vacations. Yet the physical toll of domestic chores feels exponentially greater. Upon each visit to Joshua and Madison's abode, I am greeted by Madison's usual spot on the couch, from where she promptly starts to outline the day's tasks.
Nancy, if it is not too much trouble, could you also take care of the windows today? And, though it pains me to add more to your plate, the windowsills really do need daily attention.
She suggested, her voice tinged with hesitation. My apologies for not noticing sooner, I replied, acknowledging the oversight, committed to making amends. The source of my profound tiredness was becoming increasingly clear. Madison's penchant for detail and precision was unparalleled. She had an eye for perfection that reminded me of the stereotypical mother-in-law portrayed in vintage sitcoms, who scrutinizes every corner for dust and expects meals to be of a caliber worthy of social media envy.
Nancy, your efforts are truly appreciated. Your immense kindness is something I deeply cherish,
she remarked with a radiant smile as I made preparations to leave, despite sometimes feeling as though she might be taking my efforts for granted. I remind myself that this openness is a sign of the trust and bond we've developed. Gently massaging my sore back, I start my journey back home, reflecting on the complexities of family relationships. Madison's struggles with her health persist into the mid-stages of her pregnancy. While she appears to be in good spirits and maintains a healthy appetite, the true state of her well-being remains intimately hers alone to comprehend. Consequently, my visits to Joshua and Madison's home have become a regular part of my routine. On an ordinary afternoon, as I was heading home from my son Joshua's place, a young woman I'd never seen before called out to me.
You are Joshua's mom, aren't you?
She asked with a smirk that made me uneasy. Yes, I am. How can I assist you? I replied, taken aback by her upfront manner. Her smile broadened as she launched into her inquiry.
So, you are at your daughter-in-law Madison's house again, lending a hand? That must be hard on you. Just between us, don't you ever find her a tad annoying?
Her question threw me for a loop. What? No, Madison is genuinely a sweet soul, very upfront and kind-hearted. I found myself defending Madison, puzzled by my own response to this stranger's provocation. Then, the woman produced a stack of photographs, causing my heart to pound. What's this supposed to be? I demanded, a mixture of intrigue and apprehension welling up inside me.
Oh, you'll find this interesting. It's proof of Joshua's extramarital adventures,
she announced, her tone dripping with malice. The pictures she revealed were startling. My son was lying on a bed naked, and beside him, the very woman who now confronted me, posing suggestively. That can't be, I exclaimed. The thought of my son, a paragon of virtue and commitment, involved in such a scandal was unfathomable.
Calm down, dear. The best part is yet to come,
she sneered, clearly relishing the distress she was causing me. Paralyzed by the revelation, I was speechless as she presented something utterly unforeseen.
I'll make you an offer. What do you say to buying this off me for $10,000?
She proposed, her grin now taking on a devilish contour. My mind reeled, her derisive laughter echoing in my head. I dismissed her absurd allegations outright. Enough of this. I won't stand for you bad-mouthing Joshua or Madison. What is this, some sort of scam? I'm not some easily duped old woman, I protested, finding strength in my indignation. As I turned to leave, my steps faltering, she followed, pressing her contact information into my palm.
If you have a change of heart, give me a call. It'll be valuable,
she insisted, her tone unsettlingly nonchalant. Anger surged within me at her audacity. Scams involving fabricated tales of infidelity, demands for settlement money, or even pregnancy terminations were things I had heard of, and I was convinced she was attempting to ensnare me in such a deceit. Yet, what I didn't realize then was that this encounter was merely the beginning of an unimaginable nightmare, orchestrated by Madison herself. Heading over to my son's place to help with the chores, I found Madison sitting upright in a chair, a rarity. Her gaze was cold, void of her usual smile.
I want a divorce settlement of $100,000.
She declared without any preamble. What? I was caught off guard by her sudden demand. She then slammed a pile of photos and printed message exchanges on the table.
These are the proofs of Joshua's affair,
She stated coldly. It seemed unbelievable. The mysterious woman who approached me before, the one involved in the affair, was right there in those pictures, lying in bed with Joshua. Other photos showed them laughing together, seemingly taken without their notice.
To think he cheated on me while I'm pregnant, it's despicable. What kind of upbringing results in such a low life? It's your fault Joshua strayed because you failed at raising him right.
Madison's accusation left me speechless as she threw the photos at me.
Here I am, pregnant because of him, and this is how I'm treated. How are you going to take responsibility?
The photos, revealing my son sleeping soundly, drooling even, seemed like a bad dream.
Hey, old lady. Don't just stand there, start by apologizing. Kneel down and say sorry. That's what you should do.
Madison sneered, her transformation shocking me more than the evidence of infidelity. Her contempt was palpable as she taunted me to grovel, but I was frozen in shock.
Well, you can't even apologize as a parent. No wonder your son turned out to be a cheat and a failure.
Madison's words were cutting, and her refusal to forgive, even with an apology, was clear. She insisted on seeing real sincerity beyond mere words. Silently, I reached for the evidence, my hands shaking, the details blurring before my eyes. But deep down, I knew.
This marriage was a mistake. I thought he earned more, but he's useless. I'm going to start over after the divorce, and for that, I need the settlement money, all $100,000.
Madison leaned in, her threat whispered with a chilling calm.
Being his parent, you're responsible for your son's actions. If you refuse, maybe I'll just have to visit Joshua's workplace. It'd be a shame if he lost his job over this. The neighbors might find out, too. You wouldn't want to live here anymore, would you?
Her manipulative words forced a heavy sigh from me. Could you give me some time? I asked, hoping for a reprieve.
Fine, I'll give you one day. I get it, it's hard to accept your son's cheating just like that. But there's no escaping the evidence.
Madison's disdain for Joshua, calling him a liar and a cheat, was clear. And yet, I wondered, was Joshua the one at fault? No, I realized the truth in that moment. On that evening, Joshua, my son, came to my home, his posture reflecting a world of defeat and dismay. It turned out, unexpectedly, he had been accused of infidelity the day before. His plan was to come home from work and clear the air. But he was met with a closed door, unable to even step inside.
I swear, I have not cheated.
Joshua insisted with a level of earnestness that tugged at my heartstrings. I reached out, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder, trying to convey my belief in his innocence without words. I believe you, I softly assured him, witnessing a mix of relief and unshed tears in his eyes, a testament to the stress he had been carrying. The police might be our next step, I suggested, considering the severity of the allegations against him. Joshua, bewildered, shot back.
Police, over an accusation of cheating?
It became apparent to me that someone was maliciously targeting my son, and they needed to be held accountable. The following day, we met Madison, his wife, at the diner we had agreed upon, where she appeared cheerfully oblivious to the tension.
Hi. I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long.
She chirped, her demeanor strikingly out of place. Joshua and I shared a look of mutual frustration, our disapproval clear.
You do look rather intimidating today, Nancy.
Madison commented, trying to employ her once charming voice to lighten the mood, but it only served to irritate me further. Naturally, seeing my son accused of such things would make anyone look stern. You've upset not just your husband but me as well, Madison. This is truly regrettable, I expressed, my disappointment in her thinly veiled. I cleared my throat, turning the conversation towards a more pressing issue. This woman Joshua is accused of being involved with, she's one of your friends, right? Joshua, wearing a serious expression, quickly interjected.
That woman is indeed a friend of Madison. I remember giving her a ride once when Madison was out, and our interaction was nothing more than a polite exchange of greetings. The photograph of us appearing close was likely taken in that context.
I fixed my gaze on Madison, pressing further. So, this isn't a picture from a clandestine date. You were there too, Madison. Surely, you must remember what actually happened. Why wouldn't you admit she's your friend?
I thought it'd be kinder not to mention it, to spare you the ugly details. Getting involved with a spouse's friend is the ultimate betrayal. I figured it'd be too sad to burden you with that, Nancy. That was my kindness.
Madison retorted, her smile smug, clearly pleased with her own reasoning.
Even if that interaction was innocuous, there's still a photo of them in bed. Oh, the heartbreak. To think my dear friend has been taken away.
She lamented, her sorrow exaggerated and unconvincing. So, she is indeed a valuable friend to you, Madison, I observed, noting her feigned distress. It seemed her tears of pretense might soon give way to genuine tears of consequence. Laying out the documents meticulously on the table, I aimed to clear my son Joshua's name. Here's a proof that Joshua hasn't cheated, I declared, unfurling several damning photographs, the most incriminating of which were taken on a bed. Madison's quiet oh no was almost lost in the unfolding drama. Interesting. We have two versions of the bed photo. One with your friend and one with you. It speaks volumes about your relationship, being in such a situation with a friend's partner. It seemed Madison had been at the scene of the alleged affair, evidenced by a photo capturing a three-way shot with Joshua caught in the middle, seemingly asleep. What is this supposed to mean? I pressed, seeking an explanation. Madison stuttered.
I just stumbled upon them in the middle of, well, you know.
So instead of being outraged, you decided to turn it into a photo session? I questioned, noting her evasive eye movements and her speechlessness. Next, I brought out printed messages that were supposedly exchanged between Joshua and the woman he was accused of being involved with. These conversations between Joshua and the supposed other woman are very intimate, filled with crude language, I observed.
Yeah, exactly. Can you believe Joshua talks like this with women? Gross.
Madison chimed in, attempting to feign disgust. However, a closer inspection of the messages revealed a stark contrast in the tone before and after the alleged affair, portraying a narrative far removed from Madison's claims. Joshua confronted her with a cold gaze.
You only showed the messages up to where I said I love you. But what about the immediate response of LOL? That's so creepy. What's the meaning of that?
Madison was caught off guard, her silence speaking volumes.
So, this entire exchange between me and the alleged mistress was fabricated. You were probably just texting yourself under different names.
Joshua deduced, as Madison's facade began to crumble, her anxiety palpable.
How did you even come into possession of these photos and messages?
She questioned, desperation creeping into her voice. With a gentle smile, I revealed the source of our evidence. Your dear friend decided to sell them out to us, I explained, watching as the realization dawned on Madison.
You mean?
She trailed off, disbelief etched across her face. All this time, you've been emphasizing the importance of friendship, but it appears there was no real trust to begin with. Essentially, she acted in her own self-interest, betraying you to further her own agenda. I continued, laying bare the harsh truth. Madison's complexion turned a shade of pale blue, her body shaking with silent fury. You were betrayed, by the very friend you conspired with to frame Joshua," I pointed out, her dismay tangible in the heavy silence that followed. Overwhelmed by the betrayal and the unraveling of her schemes, Madison slumped over the table, admitting to her deeds. I announced I'd call the police, causing Madison to look up abruptly in alarm.
"The police!"
she exclaimed, disbelief and fear mingling in her voice. "Yes, your actions constitute blackmail," I stated firmly, revealing the depth of Madison's betrayal. It wasn't just the deceit. Madison had concocted a nefarious scheme, evidenced by her communications with Emma, her so-called friend. They had planned to capture compromising photos of Joshua, resorting to drugging him to do so. Madison's scheme unraveled further as I detailed the plan to overdose Joshua with sleeping pills, aiming for a payout from life insurance and compensation for supposed infidelity. Madison tearfully confessed, her voice a mix of sorrow and bitterness.
"I thought marrying Joshua would secure my future because I believed he was quite the high earner. Imagine my shock when I found out he could only provide around $900 a month for living expenses. I felt deceived, trapped in a marriage with someone who barely scraped by. It was utterly disappointing,"
she continued, revealing the depth of her calculated plans.
"That's exactly why I contemplated fabricating reasons for a divorce, any means necessary. To me, Joshua held no value without his wealth. Ideally, I wanted to be with the man I truly loved, but he wasn't financially stable. So, begrudgingly, I chose Joshua, thinking of our future child."
Joshua, overwhelmed with frustration, lamented the irony of his situation.
"So it was you who cheated first, and here I was marrying you out of a sense of responsibility when you said you were pregnant early in our relationship. I was a fool to think I was doing the right thing, but don't worry, I'll grant you your divorce."
Madison, surprised yet hopeful, responded eagerly.
"Really? You divorce me just like that? And you're going to provide alimony as well?"
She couldn't hide her relief, her laughter breaking through despite the tears and sniffles. Joshua, trying to maintain his composure, could barely conceal his anger.
"What are you talking about? I haven't done anything that warrants paying you alimony."
Madison, playing her final card, pleaded her case.
"But I'm not working, and with no money of my own, how am I supposed to support our baby without alimony?"
At that moment, the police, whom they had consulted the day before, arrived, signaling a new turn in their domestic saga. Madison is utterly bewildered, crying out,
"Why? Why is this happening?"
With a mix of confusion and desperation. Joshua's response is icy.
"Your hatred towards me, even to the point of wishing me dead, terrifies me. I'm leaving the rest of the police."
Madison's plea is dramatic.
"This is all just too much. Please, Joshua, I need your help."
She clings to him, looking for any sign of mercy. But Joshua only looks down at her, his face devoid of emotion as she trembles before him. Desperately, Madison turns to me, seeking sympathy.
"I get it. I was wrong. Okay, I'll grovel if that's what you want. Groveling and apologizing should fix everything, right?"
But the response is cutting. "Your apologies mean nothing. You've always said sorry doesn't count for much. Besides, even if you did apologize, forgiveness isn't something I'm ready to offer." Kneeling on the floor, Madison's face is a contorted mix of anger and despair, worsened by the situation. Without hesitation, the police take Madison away, her cries echoing in the air. Later, Emma, Madison's friend, faces no charges, while Madison herself ends up with a suspended sentence. Unexpectedly, Madison confronts us, blaming,
"This is all your fault. I've been through hell because of you too."
but she boasts about her new life.
The thing is, living a life filled with love is what truly matters. I'm with my true love now, living blissfully. Are you jealous of my happiness, you pretender of wealth?
Joshua calmly sets the record straight.
Jealous? Not at all. Plus, I'm not poor. You thought my salary was low because I've been putting $900 into savings every month, as I've explained before. And the $900 I gave you was meant for groceries alone. Anything left was yours to spend. I wonder, was that not enough for just the two of us?
Madison's true motive appears to be nothing more than to insult Joshua, but her fury only intensifies with his rebuttal. She snaps.
Shut up. Love is all that matters, not money. Love.
With a hint of sarcasm, Joshua replies.
Interesting. You claim to be happy in love, yet here you are pestering me.
Madison, unable to contain her anger, lunges at Joshua. I remark. Looks like you'll be needing the police again. Madison freezes, fist clenched, perhaps forgetting she's still on probation. It's curious how she didn't realize how thin the ice was she's walking on. If she were wise, she wouldn't have concocted such a deceitful plan to start with. Peace finally returns to our lives. Joshua dedicates himself to his job, and I find joy in my hobbies once more.
Mom, thank you for believing in me from the start.
Joshua appreciates. Of course, I always believe in you, Joshua. But remember, if you ever stray as a parent, I'll be right there to guide you back strictly if necessary. Joshua jests, feigning fear.
Yikes, scary.
I gently stroke his head. Don't worry. Good or bad, I'll always love you. He rolls his eyes.
I'm over 30, you know.
We both laugh out loud, enjoying the moment of lightheartedness after all the turmoil.